My name's Caroline Sandiford. I'm a Lancashire girl. My business is Caroline Sandiford Estate Planning, and I deal with all aspects of estate planning. So not just will writing, I deal with protection, mitigation, business continuity sometimes as well, all aspects of taking that client on a journey to make sure that their assets go where they want them to go and that they've got complete peace of mind.
So Jonathan Maskew, Director of Partnerships at CTT Group. So background of managing lawyers and barristers, and more recently with tech for estate planning with the integration of AI. Part of that conversation is challenging Caroline to take that digital route. So yeah,
which she did.
Yeah, we're looking forward to sharing all those details with you. Thank you.
What inspired you to consider digital journeys in estate planning, and how did this relationship come about?
So I'd started in estate planning a number of years ago, originally from an accountancy background. I think we're going to talk about this as well a bit further on. But I started in estate planning a number of years ago, and I was cornered by Clive one time to look at the CTT offering. So I looked at it and I joined CTT, and I was using the system that everybody is aware of and everybody does use. And then I think it was a conference, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
It was a conference. It was the Best Foundation conference, and I listened to Piers Linney, who's a local guy to me, who's been on the Dragon's Den, and he was talking all things AI, and it really interested me. And Jonathan was sat with me, and Jonathan said, "We're going to implement this at CTT, and you're going to do it." And it was as simple as that, really. So I have been the guinea pig.
You have. A lot of people will know, people listen to this, that there's lots of talk about AI. And there's, the talk is free and easy, but it is always the doing that makes the difference. So the challenge to Karen was look, you invest time and effort, and she's done that, in bucket loads.
Several-fold.
Yeah, that's right, several-fold. We've been burning the midnight oil for the last 3 to 4 months. But the challenge has really been, can we change the whole perception of estate planning from, forgive me, what is paper heavy, getting back after appointments throughout the day, and
paper heavy, admin heavy, time heavy, not really giving you the right time with your client or giving the client the right experience either. So we jumped in.
Yeah, we did.
Feet first.
Big time.
It's been a little bit of a journey, but we are where we are now. We've tested things to the level of breaking them on occasions.
Well, I did, as part of the challenge was to try and break it, because everybody, as I say, is conscious that it is new. We've teased out a lot of the issues, and Caroline is now the front runner. The tech here is innovative, and it is groundbreaking. Nobody else is doing that to educate the client through that process, and that's a key and a USP driver for clients.
And as a woman in an industry which is still predominantly male dominated, I do like being the first person to have an avatar to market, and things like that. So, but it has been a journey, but we are there.
So tell us a little bit about what this digital journey looks like for you now.
So now, what it's doing for me now is it's automating a lot of my processes so that the clients can actually do a lot of the really time-consuming admin work themselves and upload it to the app and fill in the fact find on the app, and they can watch videos of me as my avatar explaining all the bits and pieces that go with it. So they can be doing that of an evening, they can do that over a weekend. I don't have to be with them. So what that's doing is freeing me off more time during my working week to be able to do the face-to-face stuff with the client, which is the bits I really enjoy. Going and having a cup of tea and looking at various stages that they need to do and advising them accordingly. So that's the bit I really enjoy. So it is panning out like that now. The
timelines for people to have this sort of advice in estate planning, typically they can take weeks, sometimes months.
Yeah.
So if we can streamline the process and use the tech to the benefit to give Caroline more time with the clients, that's what it's doing. Efficiencies, yes, for sure. But I think you'll be first to say, Karen, it's actually making relationships with clients stronger.
It's making relationships with clients stronger, and it's actually as well, what I've noticed in these last 2 weeks is it's actually gaining more referrals from clients because they're enjoying the whole experience that much more. They're telling more people about it. You know, if you're doing estate planning and it's talking to the Grim Reaper at the best of times, isn't it? You're talking about something that you don't really want to happen, but what's in place if that does happen? But because I'm getting more of that personal interaction, I'm finding that more people are saying, oh, you should speak to Caroline. We did our planning with her. It was great. You know, we really enjoyed it. We've got to know her really well. And that getting to know me part of the whole thing is what builds that relationship, which then causes them to refer you to their friends.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's been a great thing for me to implement. There have been times where I've said to you, I felt like I'm a Manchester girl and I felt like Emmeline Pankhurst chained to the railings. But it has definitely been a great thing to implement. So.
Yeah, and from our perspective, we've learned an awful lot. We've got a strong team at CTT. There's lots of people behind the scenes. You know, we've been on calls to Stefan in New Zealand.
Well, it's creative relationships there, perhaps with people within CTT that I might never have met before.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So strong relationships all the way through. Yeah.
So tell us more a little bit about legacy software and how it compares to other estate planning software that's out there.
Well, I have recently used different types of estate planning software. I felt as well, maybe 12 months ago, and Jonathan knows this and we've discussed this, where I just perhaps needed sometimes another offering. I've changed my mind about that one, and I've come back and, as I say, jumped in full fold. I think from my point of view, and now particularly with some of the social stuff that I've done, as you know, I'm getting interest from a lot higher net worth clients, and for me, CTT in that respect provides the full offering, the full backup, the full level of advice, the full product range. So yeah, it's something that I have stepped into and then stepped back out of.
Yeah, and from the CTT perspective, and again in certain roles I've had over the years in law firms, we've used other providers, but we've got to compare apples with apples. And the CTT offering is very different. It is. It has an holistic approach. It's got support through accountancy, through its own private client, and certainly with people like Spencer Tatum, through his, I suppose, his wealth of knowledge, known as the Wikipedia, through from Clive to Andrew to Bob, the whole approach is making sure that it is a very different offering. And we set ourselves out to be completely different. And Caroline is a sample of how we are different and how we really want to complement that now with the AI and the tech to get it to the next level.
Unique.
It is unique. We have the offering to really impact the market and lead the way so that clients experience a different journey. With the other elements that we have, I think, as I said, it's an holistic approach and it does have a real impact. So that's, I don't want to be compared with other software because it is very different.
Well, I think the fact that they get this app, they can view the recommendation reports, any of the digital reports within the app, they can go back to it whenever they want. I always try after they've done the fact find and uploaded their details and I produce a recommendation report for them, I always then want to do a Zoom call. That actually, in many cases, might be the first time they've actually spoke to me, because they've requested access to the app. So I do a Zoom call with them and I go through the recommendation report with them on this Zoom call. And some may find it a little bit too much to take in one go. And then we pick the bits out, which might be the base steps to get the base foundation planning in place. And then I'll say, look, we'll go through particularly some of the other recommendations when I meet you face to face. And so they have a bit of comfort in that they don't have to panic and make a decision about everything in one go. So it is that building a relationship and building that trust. And I find that the fact that they can refer back to it, they can even show family members it does give them a real level of comfort as to what they're about to embark on.
Yeah, that's so true, Carol. I think the other really important point there is that Clients expect it to be digital today. They don't want voluminous chunks of paper that are printed out. They just don't want it. It's not the way that we are typically asking our client to experience lots of things, whether it's banking, whether it's your the other apps that are providing, or insurance documents, for instance. How often now do you receive that in the post? You can request it. It's similar, but you download it, you look at it, you've got a summary of it, and it's captured and it's stored. And why should we be any different?
I think it's sparking people's interest. They are getting more. Some of the older generation aren't maybe so compliant with the digital aspect, but they are learning it more, aren't they? I mean, I lost my mum a couple of years ago, and at 83 she had an iPad. I mean, we had to tell her to stop writing things on Facebook, but she could do it. She could do it. So it is about dragging everything into this new way of doing it, isn't it, really? And that's what we're trying to do. Yeah,
I think so, Caroline. I mean, 3 months in from you jumping in with both feet, we've all been through the issues around the COVID, for instance, and what that taught us was that whether it's generational or otherwise, the older generation, where typically the wheels are aimed at, they were forced to the gadgets and the Facebooks and that. So it again, it's a myth. There are exceptions, of course there are, and we need to make sure that we minimise any risk for those that may feel influenced. But for the majority of people, this is how they want the service delivered. Yeah. And if we're listening to our clients, then we continue to make that difference. And clearly you are, Caroline. That's the really important bit from what you've said.
I'm looking to touch wood somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's going really, really well. And so, the hours of trying to break it, and in many cases breaking it.
Yeah.
And getting those little bits sorted out so that it can be now launched to other advisors. And I know that's happening, because after I did a panel meeting last Monday, were bombarded with phone calls from other advisors that were on that panel meeting wanting to know whether it really did work. And the answer to that is yes, it does.
Yeah, it does.
The increase in my client appointments, the increase in my turnover, the increase in instructions has been phenomenal. And the only thing I'm doing different is doing it this way. So
yeah, I think that's really important. When people are looking to add value to clients, often it's assumed that there's an investment in additional staff, team members, costs, revenue, overheads. That doesn't have to be the case. If you use tech and innovation to help, which is what I've always done in my roles in business, to generate further revenue, then you use it in a smarter way. So we work smarter with clients, not harder. It's clear from last week's meeting, Caroline, like you, I've been inundated. We've got a whole chain of people now who want to follow in your footsteps.
Somebody called me a tornado. So I have this vision of Wonder Woman, where she gets in and she spins and comes out dressed as something else, doesn't she?
Well, that's what you've done almost.
Taking the world by storm.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what you're doing. I think we want to take the market by storm. It's been stayed, for many, many years. And it is an exciting opportunity to make sure that, there is a different way of working. And sometimes that reluctance, that change management process, and I understand it, when you've got bigger businesses who've got a bigger tanker to turn round, that's the expression used, then it does take time.
I think it's part and parcel of this industry,
though. It is.
I think there's many, many people within this industry. This, for me, and I know, again, we're going to talk about this, it's a second career, but I think there's many people within this industry of estate planning, will writing, who have been doing it 40-odd years, who don't like change.
Yeah.
They don't like it, and they don't like anybody that's trying to implement it either.
No.
So, but they just need to join in, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And that's credit to, again, we mentioned Clive and Andrew and Bob and the business giving us the remit to, excuse my French, just get on with it. We trust you. And Martin and the team at Formation are a real element of that. We ask for support to tread out the comfort zone, and this is what we're doing, and these are the results. So we are going to share that experience because it's for the benefit of clients, and we really feel that there is a different journey that they can take.
Well, some listeners won't know that I have an avatar, and she's still very posh, isn't she? She doesn't quite talk like me, does she? But I think that's how people tell the difference.
Yeah, it is.
Between me and my digital twin. So yeah.
Ultimately, when we go through that journey of the digital journey that we've incorporated with you, they get to see you and they buy you. You're the USP. Ultimately, the journey is complemented with the tech, and I don't think that's any different for anybody else. The people that I've been chatting to over the last week since we've had that panel meeting, I'm not so sure I could do that. I don't know what my USP is. I said, well, it's you.
Yeah,
it really is. So you convey your way in doing it, and we'll help you support that message so that you can, as you say, Caroline, the introductions and the work coming is fourfold. I know it's huge. You text me somewhere and says, I've had 4 fact finds overnight.
I've texted you sometimes of an evening going, oh my God. It's I mean, certainly I think I do lots on the socials. So I do lots on TikTok. I know you guys know that. Yeah. And I can get up on a Monday morning to 4 or 5 emails in my inbox wanting access to the app.
Yeah.
So, and I've been over the weekend walking the dogs, and this particular weekend I was making spiced apple chutney. And
we're looking forward to that. Thank you.
Yeah, and then there's a workflow already there on a Monday morning that I've not really had to do anything about.
Yeah.
So it's streamlined the journey for your clients by a lot.
Yep.
Has it done anything in terms of minimising risks for your clients and your business?
Well, I think for me now, as a one-woman band and moving into that period of my life now, my son's grown up and left home, where I'm going to be doing this for a good while yet because I love it so much. But ultimately, there'll come a point, I guess, in the future where I go, I'm just going to do less of it. And so what you need to have is that peace of mind that the work that you've done is correct and robust and substantial enough to look after your clients. If you ever come to that point where you kind of go, that's me, I think I wouldn't want anybody taking it on after me to have any risks that had been created by me. So it was really important for me that it was the right advice at the right time with the right clients, with the right structure, and there isn't one size fits all. There isn't, because there isn't one family that's the same. I mean, the majority of the families I tend to sit down in front of now are blended families. Yeah. That's just the way of the world. So, yes, it has minimised that worry for me of risk, because I produce the recommendation report and the clients then tell me what they want to do. And if at some point in the future some situations happen and it's not protected because they've not done an element of planning, I can always go, well, you didn't want to do that bit. So the risk thing is a big thing for me. And yes, it is helping me to sleep at night a bit better, yeah. Because you can lead them to water, but you can't make them drink. But I find that the recommendation report now gives them so much more information, the animations and everything else. It helps them to understand it. And so what I'm also finding is full instructions each time.
Yeah, indeed. I mean,
not approaching it, wills now, lasting powers of attorneys later. Maybe I'll do a trust at some point, don't know, can't decide. Yeah. The recommendation report is driving clients to go, I need to do the whole thing.
We emphasise the fact that where you've got teams, and Caroline's no different, even as a one-woman band, as she likes to be called, when you've got an element of clients who across the country are supported by teams of estate planners, then how do you ensure that the advice given is it's a level of consistency that we're all comfortable to manage that risk? And it's really, really important that people understand the reports do that. So they protect not only you, the advisor, but they protect the client and the business.
It's primarily why I'm a one-woman band, because it's my name on the company, and I don't want another advisor working under my name giving the incorrect advice. No. However, this system would lead them to be able to give the advice potentially that I would have given as well.
Yeah, that's really, for people who want to think about how can we grow our business, that's fine. But what Caroline is doing through the use of the recommendation report specifically, and digital reports will play a bigger part as we move forward down this path, because clients do understand the value. It educates them. That's great. It empowers them to make a decision. And you're right, Caroline. We've seen that across other clients. People are not only buying more of the advice, but they're buying at the higher value
with confidence.
With confidence. So they like to be, educated and empowered. Typically, you can use, the solicitor route, and that's not given. It's stifled. It's got jargon. It's not explained. We've had clients with the user testing who have got a trust and don't really they shrug their shoulders. There's no explanation.
But quite often they're advised they need one for the wrong reasons as
well.
well.
Yeah. Well, you know that. I know you alluded to that with a case earlier this week.
Because they don't have to give tax advice. Solicitors don't have to give tax advice. So they advise on something, but don't ever actually really explain the full picture. Yeah. Whereas the recommendation reports and the system that we're now using does do that. Yeah, I think the certainly for the recommendation report to be utilised across firms, and this is what we're doing. Caroline's the leader with it. We've got other firms now saying, well, so you're saying to me you use the report in every circumstance. Yes. Well, yes, you would say that, wouldn't you? Commercially, there's a value. Of course there's a value to it, but the value is to the client. Yes, there's a cost because that's what we're driving to help you achieve, but the value is protecting you as a business owner or an advisor, but protecting the client. And so there's the value. We don't need to complicate it any further. Yes, commercially it works, but for the client journey, for the clients, that's the key element, and that has to be the priority. A lot of clients' concerns right now are tax, inheritance tax, capital gains tax, so on and so forth, and it deals with all that sort of stuff, doesn't it, on the recommendation report? Yeah. So you're informing them of what their potential liability might be, and that's based on the figures that they've input. It does give them a real insight into it, and they then quite often tell me that they go through the recommendation report again after we've done the Zoom call. Yes, yeah. Because then they've had a chat with me about it, and I always say, that at this point they're a client, aren't they? Any questions, just email me. If you run through it again and there's something you don't understand, just email me. But I do find I've had nothing but praise for it. Yeah. I do find that they really do understand it. I think the way that you work it through with clients is unique to you, and that's really important. So for anyone that's listening, is that you can use the report, you can preview the report before you send it, so that you can always look through it. Yeah. And it's important that people understand that it's not a given. You don't have to use it. That's not the point, but it's making sure that clients have that education empowerment, and that those should be triggers enough to say, look, best practice suggests that we do that. There's a full audit. Should you get Lark and Nugas requests? So all those elements of, again, risk are sorted through that process. But again, if I was a client and I'd received that report, like you, Caroline, like as you explained to clients, like, okay, well, you've talked me through it, but I want to sit down and digest it. But I may be, out shopping with my wife while she's, and I can sit in a cafe and just scroll through on my iPhone. There's some stats that show. I'm sure there'll be some stats that show how many times they look at it. Will there be? Yeah, we're looking through the data and the MI across how people open it, and then the relationship with the higher level and increased purchase. That's in its early days, but again, you're living proof of that happening really quickly in a 3-month zone. I mean, I know I challenge you to say, look, I'll turn your business around in 12 months, and here we are 3 months in. That is eye-opening. If we can do that for all our business clients over a whatever it is, 12 months, 3-year period, then that's serious business. I think I explained that on that panel meeting. Yeah. I actually talked figures. Yes. And I think a few people fell on the floor. They did. Yeah. It has been phenomenal. I'm enjoying it. And there's other things I want to do with my avatar, which we've discussed briefly, haven't we? I want to use my avatar a bit more to do more informative stuff for the client. I want to link that to my socials and so on and so forth. Can you imagine me explaining to my 5,000 followers on TikTok how to use my app? So the fact I have an avatar that now explains how to use my app, I just send them the link. Yeah. I just send them a link and I said, here's a link. It explains how to do it. Watch it at your leisure. Let me know when you're ready to go ahead. So the time saving for me there is, again, incredible, because I could spend hours every day answering the phone, explaining somebody how to be able to use the app. And now I just send them the link. TikTok's been unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I know you follow me, but it's been unbelievable. I do get some very weird messages still. I screenshotted one and sent it to you at the weekend.
We'll keep that to ourselves, won't we? Yeah.
So my aspirations just to carry on enjoying it and use it as an opportunity to see different parts of the country. I have 2 dogs. I load them in the car. I find some accommodation that takes the dogs. I find somewhere to walk them. So I'm enjoying doing that. And then obviously seeing the clients at the same time. You know, this for me is a second career. It's a second career now that I'm really enjoying.
Yes.
Let me tell the world. Yeah. There might be other people out there that want to do this as a second career, you know, and so I'm looking forward to maybe encouraging more people.
What inspired you to get into estate planning as a second career?
I fell into it. I really fell into it. So when I left school, and I was quite studious at school, you'll be surprised to know. But I loved a lot of the sports stuff as well. I played hockey to quite a high level. We had horses at home. But I got glandular fever just before my O-levels, as they were then, which shows how old I am, GCSEs now. And I couldn't go and pick my results up. And so by the time I went to sixth form college, the courses that I particularly wanted to do had all been filled. So I complained like mad to my dad because I was doing domestic science, which I liked. But other than that, I was doing something really tedious like biology and something else. Nothing like what I wanted to do, because what I always wanted to do as a kid, having watched my dad compete at a really high level and have quite a successful off-road motorcycle business, was I wanted to work in the business. Primarily because a lot of the motorcycle riders were quite fit. So that's why I wanted to do it, you know. And he wouldn't have me. And he said, you've got to go and work somewhere else first, and you've got to learn some respect working outside of a family business before you come in here. So I did 3 years working for the Royal Bank of Scotland, city centre Manchester, some of the time at a branch just outside of the city centre as well. And I did 3 years there. And then a job came up in the business, in the spare parts department, and he sort of threw it at me and said, there's a job in the spare parts department, you can have it if you want it, but it's not really what you wanted to do. So I was like, yeah, I'm in, like that. So I can still tell you now some of the Honda part numbers off the top of my head. And so I had to work with a lot of men in this spare parts department. I had to prove myself, so on and so forth. And then there was a job came up in the office, and he said, you can have the job in the office if you want, but you'll have to do an accountancy qualification. And I went, yeah, I'll do it. So I went to Salford University and I did O-level and A-level accountancy. And then I continued that on by doing accounting technician. So that's the letters after my name. So I'm a full member of the Association of Accounting Technicians, which is auditor level. Oh. And then I got the job in the office. And then we started importing motorcycles from Barcelona. And he said, you can deal with the factory if you want, but you've got to learn Spanish. I'm in. So I did it. Went back to night school and did O-level and A-level Spanish. So that's really how stuff's panned out for me. And then he died age 53. And so just before that, he'd made me a director of the company. So I then was not only the management accountant, but I became a director of the company. And I did that for 17 years after he died, up until the first recession in 2008. And we had a really tough time then because people couldn't afford to buy an off-road motorcycle because they couldn't pay the mortgage because the interest rates had gone up so high. So we split it, and my brother carried on doing it, and I got out. And I went back into some accountancy work for a pension company, which then led me to being headhunted by an IFA to do some IFA work, and I did some IFA exams. And then they said, we haven't got anybody in this IFA practice that does wills. And I said, I'm in. I'll learn. So I jumped in and learnt how to do them. And I worked for an association based in Wilmslow back then. And I did a lot of training with that. But that still led me then to want to achieve more, which then led me to do Society of Will Writers, which then led me to do my SILEX, which I've just finished my certificate in SILEX. And so I think that's just the way that it's panned out with me. If somebody's offered me something, I've just jumped in and not just been happy just to sort of have a go at it, but to try and be really successful in it and get the qualification behind me and achieve it. So yeah, I kind of fell into it really. 2012, 13 really, I started doing estate planning, will writing, that kind of thing, and it's gone from there. For some people really now, and we're talking about people coming into this industry as a second career, I'm happy to help encourage them.
Yeah. So how key is the sort of digital avatar sort of workforce been for you?
Well, that again was the thing you said. We're going to do a digital avatar and I'd like you to launch it. And I said, I'm in.
Yeah,
let's
you
do
did.
it.
You did.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Right, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
The response to that on the socials, I mean, I can't remember this morning, tens of thousands of views.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of views of my avatar explaining about a will, explaining about how to use my app. Tens of thousands, which is really quite scary, isn't it?
Yeah, in theory, your digital avatar, your digital workforce is online 24/7, 365 days. So why wouldn't we have this increase in attracting clients? It's going to happen, and that's the exciting bit. And how do we then track people in to buying at the higher level? Well, we give them a digital report which explains it.
Yeah.
So this isn't by chance. This is well thought out, planned with the support of a bright team, but implemented by someone that's inspirational. Yeah, we see you very much as an ambassador and a pioneer in this, and I think that's really, really
Emmeline
important.
Pankhurst.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Well, that isn't that true? And
didn't work out very well for her.
well, yeah. Let's hope I'm sure there's a better ending to it all, and I think that's the point.
For someone who still might have very traditional processes, unsure about digitizing their processes, what would your key bit of advice be to that person?
Well, I think they're not going with the flow, or they don't understand it. If they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it.
No,
but they're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
If you'd done a law degree, you probably wouldn't choose estate planning because I think most people think it's boring.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? It's not now. All of a sudden, it's not boring anymore. All of a sudden, it's embracing AI and it's embracing technology and it's embracing avatars. My son was mortified when I said I was going on TikTok. It was the most embarrassing thing ever. But then, when my AI avatar came out, he was the first person to share it.
Yeah.
He's 29. So suddenly now we're becoming a bit more hip and trendy, aren't we? Which we weren't before. So if somebody already in this industry who is what I would call a traditional established will writer does not want to embrace this kind of technology, and some are fearful of it, very fearful of it, it's going to replace me. No, I said, and this happened at this conference,
yes,
it's going to replace me.
Yeah.
AI technology is going to replace me. I said, well, no, it's not. And if it does replace you, that's your failing, because what it's going to do, it's giving you more time with your clients, not less.
Yeah. Again, the leaders and the pioneers are those that benefit first to market. That's what we do. We're not going to take our foot off the pedal. And I know one of the reasons we're here today is to push that to the next level. For those people who are thinking, well, how do I implement? It's easy. I tell you what, reach out, speak to Caroline if you want, and get involved. There's no barriers to this. Only you. So that's where
I'm
we
so
come
busy
from.
though that when they ring me, I know time to ring you.
Well, that's fine. You know, it's as I say, it's that partnership in offering. We complement each other, which is great. And certainly from the client's perspective, it has to be. I know that's paramount to you, Caroline. It is for us. Let's improve that client journey and let's make a real difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.